Hey, how's it going? So today we have a new YouTuber called Niche Games, who is also new to Unity. He's been developing this past game for a couple months. It's called Boxed In, and it's available to download and try out on itch.io. The link is in the description below.
All right, guys. So after a whole week of technical difficulties, I'm here with Niche Games. This is gonna work. It's Elijah. Uh, please introduce yourself. Let us know what's been going on with you. What kind of games you're working on.
All right, very good. My name is Elijah, and I run Niche Games, which is really just a DBA I started up so that I can make video games and sell them. I am currently working on a game called Boxed In. It is a game where you run around and try to trap slimes. It's very basic, and I am hoping to have it on to Steam mid this year. So that's about it.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. So I actually stumbled onto your YouTube channel. I think because you commented on my video, I was like, oh wow, this guy's like one of my few commenters, and you have something really cool to offer. Uh, the boxed in game. I looked at it and I was like, this is such a unique game. You said it was based on something. What was it based on again?
Yeah, there's an old game from the 90s called Squeeze Play, and it's a flat looking game, but it's the all the basic mechanical concepts are right from that game, and then I just kind of put it on steroids and bumped everything up, made it faster paced, and of course 3D graphics.
Yeah. So did you make all the stuff in Blender?
Yeah, I did. I mean, the cubes are honestly just cubes. The primitives that come right out of Unity. But yes, I just make everything in Blender.
Did you learn Blender specifically like at the same time you were making this game?
Yeah, I did. I started playing around in Blender maybe a couple years ago, and I made a more primitive version of this game, and then I'm remaking it now to try to get it released. But yeah, all the graphics are just in there. Blender was pretty difficult to learn and get, to where you can do the modeling, the rigging, and the animating. But yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much just to make games. Yeah.
it's insane, dude. I feel like I tried Blender years ago and I just couldn't. I didn't see any tutorials for it. I was just like trying to figure it out. It seems like it's almost impossible to figure out on your own with the odd hotkeys. Everything's different from everything else than like the normal
Yes.
stuff. It's
Yeah, I believe that's true. I tried to fiddle my way through it because I've learned a lot of things that way, and it doesn't seem like you can do that. So definitely go with tutorials and follow them through before you even try. It's not worth goofing around in there. Some things are, this isn't.
Yeah, there's definitely so much you can learn from tutorials that I feel like I it would be almost impossible for me to discover on my own. And then there's like so much intricacies in Blender. I even now I'm not very good at it. Probably been doing it for a couple months now, and I am getting better. But even then, like making complex shapes or things that aren't like low poly becomes
Right.
like just like I feel like I could draw pretty good, but that adds just another element to it. Every time you make a change one direction, everything could just like fall apart.
Yeah, I could definitely see that about it. It's a difficult program. I don't think there's that many people who are really great in it. I mean, there's some people who make tutorials and they're awesome, but yeah, most of us struggle pretty hard. So
Yeah, is this your the first game you've made so far, or you're making?
this is my first game. And I've always heard don't release your first game, but I'm gonna break all the rules, so I'm gonna release it here pretty soon. And I don't expect it to make that big of a splash, but it'll be a very good learning experience for me. I really need to follow this through all the way before I, move on to making different games.
No, I agree with you. I don't see the point in not releasing your first game if you took your time with it, right? And you're proud of it, and it's a
Right.
game that you want to play. Like even if it's a dollar or whatever, even if you charge $5, as long as you get it out there, I feel like that's starting a great habit at the very least.
Right.
But your game seems pretty good. Honestly, it doesn't seem like a first game. Do you have a lot of programming experience before Unity?
I had about 10 years of SQL scripting, and that's very different than C sharp. But the idea of putting things together and making them work, it's kind of all of the same. So even if you have, say, visual, scripting experience, or say you're good at making formulas in Excel, then you probably have the skill set somewhere deep down in you to pick up C sharp and get into Unity. I haven't played around with any other game building engines very much, so I couldn't speak to them. But for Unity, I know you really can just learn it and jump in within a couple hundred hours. You could be making, you know, a, anywhere from a really simple to a decent game.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I think what was it my first game, The Floor is Lava. I didn't release it because I kind of lost its luster. I couldn't think of like what comes next. Do you ever come to? I mean, I guess with your game, you're kind of copying the other one, but at the same time, I'm sure you have some creative decisions to make that kind of could
Right.
either further your game or just stall it out completely. Have you found yourself like stalled at all?
Yeah, I certainly have. Sometimes I get the cool idea and I have the almost the how much fun it will be to play image, but then when I go to actually build out the mechanics, it's a little bit difficult. Luckily, the mechanics of this are quite simple, and then I can just add to it kind of naturally. It's not a top down type of generation. It's a bottom up is how I'm working it. So I don't have a Trello. I don't have anything like that. I can just kind of add things as I like them. And so that's been really nice. And also the fact that I'm taking a very casual attitude toward the game means that I can, add things or take things away, and it doesn't really matter that much.
Right. I feel like when I started, I don't even really use Trello effectively, but I really want to learn it because I feel like there's such value in it. I guess in a bigger game, like in a more complex game, I think the hardest part for me is being able to break down tasks small enough to actually make them, I guess working tasks as opposed to like add character art or add textures to characters. I feel like you really need to specify. You need the ability to break down different tasks into their almost smallest components in order to make it like maximize the effectiveness of Trello.
I agree with you, and I think the next game I make, I probably will have the thing maybe say 80% mapped out as far as gameplay and things that are going to happen. I'll probably just use Excel. Maybe I'll try out Trello. But yeah, I agree with you that you really should have a game plan. It helps a lot.
Do you have a Steam page already set up for this game?
It's not public, but I do have a primitive Steam page. I've started adding all the achievements already, and started putting in the leaderboards, and have started integrating that right into Unity. So
Have you found that difficult to get started?
I think the fear of it was a lot more difficult than the technical aspect of it, because it's very confusing. Their page is confusing, and there's not a lot of. I guess there are a few great step by step tutorials now, but it's difficult to find which one you're actually looking for because there's just so much there, and you're not really familiar with all the different terms. And if you just put Steam integration, you'd get the internet's just a little bit too big, and I'm not finding specific enough stuff. But yeah, I think through videos, through some probably just Overstack or something like that, and when I Google it, and then just through fiddling with it, I think I've got it figured out, and it's not nearly as scary as you thought. So I think if that's the thing scaring you, you should probably just head straight for that and do it. Get that
Right.
taken care of, and you can do it when your game's pretty primitive if you would like. It does cost you $100 to get everything set up, so that could be a barrier to a lot of people. To me, fortunately, that's not my particular barrier. My particular barrier is time, and I'm old, so
Right. And then you gotta after that $100, you gotta then figure out exactly where to integrate the stuff into the games. I've actually started working with Mirror, which is like the networking. It's a networking like thing for Unity. I've been trying to figure it
right,
out, and it seems like with that you have to really have the idea that you're going to use it at the very beginning or
really, yeah.
rebuild the entire game around it. And is Steam integration at all like that, or you can just hop on
No,
games?
you really can do it at any point. You could wait until you're completely done with the game and then add it on, or you could start with it. I mean, I think starting with it would be a very smart thing to do, but I can imagine I don't even know if I would do that with my next game, to be perfectly honest. I might still just try to add it at the end. Most of the things that you're going to have to put into your game, you're already going to have some executable state where you can just put one or two lines in and everything will be just fine. It's really as easy as playing a sound or playing an animation inside of Unity, so
when is your game scheduled to come out?
I am going to have it out. Let's see, January, February, March, April, May this year, and so it's
Did you just push it on my show? No, I'm just
That's right. I bumped it up now.
kidding.
It is going to be May this year. I realistically, I know the scope of it's probably not going to draw in a ton of people. This is more of an experience just for me to learn everything. Plus, I have a brother who really loves the game, and I think he would love to have like leaderboards, people to compete against a little bit. And then I'm going to move on. Like unless it picks up more interest sometime, then that's probably when I'm going to be mostly finished with working on it. It doesn't have a lot of code, so there won't be a lot of bug fixing, I don't think. And I'll probably be able to make a clean break and move on to something else. Unless if it gets, a very small chance that it gets more interest, I would probably go back and make like a story mode, a single player campaign or something like that. Because I have all of that kind of figured out in my head. I just don't see a lot of point in adding that if there's probably not going to be a lot of players. So
Right. And I mean I think the leaderboards is very important. I think that's really cool. How would you go about doing that? Would you use your SQL like integrate a SQL server and kind of like host all the data on just like a
yeah, there's a
Amazon or
couple
something?
ways to go about it. There is a guy who just has some type of a SQL server out there, and he made a web interface where you just have a long string, which is pretty much your key to get into your account, and you can just upload leaderboards and pull them into your game, and it's completely free. It's very limited. I don't remember, it's like dream.lo or something like that. I'm sure that's wrong. It's people are probably screaming, they know what it is, but people use that and that works well. But for me, I will use just the Steam leaderboards because they have a leaderboard
Oh, okay.
API right in there. So I've think I've just figured that out, and I'll probably use that. I'll certainly use that actually.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was thinking like the sequel. I've always wanted to like learn how to integrate like something like a SQL database into like C# project in Unity. And
Yeah,
then
you
I
can.
just
You can
have you like looked at that, or you just like whatever?
a
I'm just using
bit.
Steam.
I've looked at it a bit. It's going to be much easier just to use Steam, to be honest. I mean, I'm just going to put one call to the API, and it will be set up.
Right,
So and there's a little bit of setup on their web interface, and nothing to worry about.
right. It's
So
like post if this is higher or this is better than just post to leaderboard, whatever. Push everything one
yeah,
slot.
I think it actually handles most of that for you.
Wow.
You just say like, hey, here's a number, throw it up in there. They figure out, its ranking and everything like that. And then you just draw it back when you want to populate your own leaderboard.
That's so simplified, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah, people are making things a lot easier for us. It's not the old days when it just seemed like you had to be some type of 180 IQ type of person to do it.
Wall of code. You have to, yeah, and this all of this code is
Yeah.
just to figure out who's the best one. No, it's just like now it's just a line. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's neat.
What game are you gonna work on after this? What do you think?
Yeah, so there is a game on Steam right now, and it is called Horde. And it's a twin stick shooter where you run around and steal princesses and burn things and get money. I kind of thought a game a lot like that. I would probably copy the idea of a dragon running around and a twin stick shooter, and then add different types of upgrades and different storyline and different things like that. I think that would be a lot of fun, and that's what I usually kind of get ideas of as games that I've liked and enjoyed. But if I had made them, how would I do it? How would I make this more fun? And the idea for me in my head always has to be more fun. I don't know if it actually would be, if I'm going to make like a better game than they did, but in my mind it always has to be, or I wouldn't be motivated to do it. So,
Right, and
but
then
yeah, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. That's a good point. Is it things always seem more fun than they actually are in your head. So on top of that, you're giving yourself like a little bit extra room to like make a game that's at least as good as theirs. Hopefully, like by
Yeah,
saying it's better than
that's a
them.
good point.
Yeah, by saying it's better than them, because like even if you have perfect execution, I don't know if it's maybe just psychology or something, but it seems like after you have this whatever execution and you have the game out there and you have yourself a prototype, it's always like less fun. a little bit less fun than what you anticipated, or there's always an issue that you just never imagined would be a thing.
Right. I have that too, even making YouTube videos. Like sometime like, okay, this will have brought a pill. People will click on it and people will, watch it for a long time. And that's maybe I could have a breakout video. And eventually people do that. And then I get editing. I'm like, yeah, there's no reason for anybody to watch this. This is crap, you know?
Yeah,
Maybe I don't get that down on myself, but I realize it's a competitive world. That's what you have to remember.
no, definitely. And I feel like the same way about I feel like almost every YouTube video I upload, you get that hindsight, I guess I don't know what you would call it, but you're just like you probably judge it more than anyone else would judge it.
Right.
And just getting it done, I feel like getting it done is the most important part. And the videos will get better or whatever you do. It doesn't matter. Videos, games,
Yeah.
whatever. They'll get better as you just get more proficient at executing whatever as long as you're trying. As long as
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
putting in the time.
Well, and that's me. I played around in Unity for a few years, and the truth is, I eventually said I'm not going to get something perfect out. I just have to make something. I started realizing that it is difficult and it's hard to polish them. It's like I'm going to spend as much time polishing a game as I am going to getting all of the base code in, and that's not very fun when you get there, and your motivation drops off. But I mean, if you just get something out, it's a lot better. And that's why I like how you're doing your monthly game jams is I think, the more of those we have, the better. Because someone like me I'm a little bit terrified to do one, is the truth. And like sometimes like I don't even know what I have coming up on the weekend. So I don't know if I have a weekend to work on a game. And I don't know how to make music or sounds in games. And so it's quite daunting for someone like me, but if it gives someone else an opportunity to get a project finished, I think that is quite important.
Right. And even I think the monthly game jams, yeah, they're about finishing projects. At the same time, I think if you get stuck on a part, then you're not only that, you're learning a new skill that you can implement into the next month. So like for
Right.
me, I feel like I built most of the third person shooter, but then I realized, okay, am I just gonna be playing this alone? What am I shooting? I want to shoot other people. So literally I feel like this whole weekend has been me trying to basically I still have the game so I can re-implement all the pieces, but I have to go back and learn networking in order to make this the game that I would want to make it. And so now I feel like I'm about a week behind on my game jam, which I hope I'll be able to finish, but at the very least I will hopefully become a little bit proficient at networking, and then for the next month I'll be able to be implement whatever I need to implement at that point. So I think yeah, it's about finishing games, but at the same time it's about if you can't finish a game, it's about learning new things within Unity or within game development process. Yeah, I just think anyone who wants to
Just try.
participate, yeah, anyone who wants to
Yeah.
participate, it's not about like yeah, there's a prize if you win, if you finish the game, you get a prize. It's pretty cool, but at the same time, we're building communities, we're helping each other, we're learning new things. So I think the most important part is just being able to put yourself out there and just try your best if you have the time. If you don't have the time, not everyone has all the time in the world to
Right.
commit to something like that.
Right. But I guess I could join one on a whim, and then if I do have the time, I finish it. If I don't,
Exactly. There's no
yeah,
penalty.
okay.
Yeah, there's no penalty. You're not charged $30 if you to sign up. I mean, I there the so there's like a with the game jam. What I'm doing is you make the game, and at the point of submission, if you want to participate for the prize, then you pay $5 fee to like participate for the prize. Otherwise, you can just submit it for free, and everyone can play your game, judge it. Not judge it in a negative way, but criticism is always I feel like
Right, right.
really useful. And one of the things I found most difficult when I've been making games is taking criticism and then not only recognizing what to implement, but implementing this specific criticism. Like, because then you have to go
Right.
back and work your game. You know, you have to really go and work. Have you received any criticism about your games?
I've received some things that are maybe like, hey, you have one enemy in here that does one thing. You really need things that do more. And I completely agree with them. In my base mode, I probably won't have that. It's really locked in on how I want the gameplay to be. And it would be, unless somebody came up with something very compelling as criticism or advice, I wouldn't change it. But say, I think with people, they see my game and they think it's pretty much done is what it looks like. And so then they think that maybe I'm not going to implement things. It's like, guys, I'm 4 months into this, and so I have more, but yeah, I get kind of this seems repetitive, and the truth is it is a repetitive game, and that there's not going to be a lot of fixing that. But yeah, I haven't gotten any like, yo, your game sucks, and
No,
I haven't
it
gotten
looks good.
anything like that. But the thing is, if you get big enough, no matter how good your game is, you're going to get people that just want to crap on it. And, and as someone who is now making content, it really makes you think twice about thumbs downing somebody's video or leaving a snide comment like, hey, this sucks or something like that. If I can't leave something, constructive, then I usually try not to leave anything at all.
I'm in the same boat as you, dude. I hate that down
Yeah.
vote button unless it's like something completely appalling. I just don't touch. I don't comment. Sometimes I'll be like, you should do this a little bit better, like constructive criticism, but usually
Right.
nothing. Usually just like, all right, next video.
Well, I think some people, because I've had the urge when you look up a video and you think you found it and it's completely the wrong thing, you kind of want to thumbs down it. You're like, no, this isn't what I found. But that might be YouTube's fault too.
Right.
If somebody clickbaits me, then yeah, I'll usually thumbs down them.
Yeah,
But
rickrolled instead of a world-class tutorial. You're getting rickrolled.
well, I like Rick rolls, so I'll probably thumbs up that so someone else gets tricked as well. But yeah, no, I'm a little more kind to other people's stuff. I'm a little more on. It feels like I'm a little more accepting on games where I'm like, they should have worked this out better than I think. Oh, but the code they would have had to put in.
No, definitely.
So
Definitely, I agree
that's
with you.
interesting.
Yeah, so you've been making your game, and is it endless right now? Like endless?
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, I
thing?
think all the modes are pretty much endless. And that's really why I would love to have like a single player, story driven part where they could win. At this point, I'm probably just going to, when they start doing the level, show like they're on this level and then like out of this many levels. So they have a part where they win and maybe have some type of an interlude, inside of the game that shows like, yeah, you won. But then I'm just going to let them keep playing for leaderboard status or whatever. And I'll probably have a few different leaderboard statuses. Like I kind of have an idea that someone could play for an hour or two and be on a leaderboard, or someone could continue the game and just try to get, even if they die, they just continue on a level and try to get to the highest level. And then maybe like a hardcore mode where people, how far you can get into the game on a single run without dying. So, we'll see. I mean, I'm not locked into anything. Once I start implementing those, that's probably where I'm going to look for criticism the most, is because, I'm not really sure. Ideas I always like people's ideas. So
Here's an idea, dude. A mode where every once in a while or so a brick falls, so you have less room to trap. I don't know how that would work puzzle wise, but like
nice.
you just don't have, you just
can.
can't step there. I mean, whatever, but
Yeah, it works. Maybe an immovable block. Yeah, no,
exactly. Same kind
I've
of
thought
thing.
that
Exactly.
too.
Yeah, that's a cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
no, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So how do you? How many other game modes besides the original have you come up with so far?
Well, I have the original, which I'm just calling free run, because you start in the bottom left, they start in the top right, and you just kind of figure things out. Then I have one that's exactly the same, except you start in the middle and you're safe, and they spawn from all different sides. So that one I just call Safe Center. I thought if I made them really generic and really boring, it would be fine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm
And
sure
that-
that's simple is good, dude. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the.
There you go. And there's one where you start and it is a lot like free run, but you had fewer blocks and the enemies spawn in one at a time. Once you trap one, another one spawns. And that one I call add-on, and it's probably the most puzzle-like one, and I found I can trap maybe 25. I've thought of ways that maybe I could trap, I don't know, 30. But I'm betting, if some smart people play the game, someone will figure out how to trap like 60 or something like that. And that one just, it's one playthrough. It's not that long, and you just go until they kill you or until you've trapped as many as you can and you give up pretty much. And then I'm adding one which more people are probably interested in. I'm calling it Pacify, and it's pretty much arcade mode. Like, that's where I think all of the crazy stuff is going to happen, like power-ups and picking up ammo for a gun. Right now I just have a gun that you spawn with as many shots in it as there are enemies, but you can blow up bricks as well. So that one is, nothing like the original game, but I already have enemies coming at me in a grid-like pattern. I might as well let you shoot them at some point. So I'll probably add, different enemies that have different powers and fight back, or different movement speeds, or different, movement patterns and things like that. So I
Right.
think that will spice things up, and that's probably the mode most people are interested in. When I've made videos on that, they seem to do the best. So
Right. That's like taking that game and really uniquifying it, I guess, if that's a word. But like
yeah,
that's
it really is. Yeah,
that's where
just
you
making it my own. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly
there you
what
go.
I think that's exactly what people are looking for as well. Like so me, I would be content with like playing a remaster of a game that I've never played. I mean, that sounds pretty cool, but then also
Yeah.
having the option of having like basically a piece of the game developer or a piece of the designer in there themselves, that adds the personal touch I feel like that people are looking for in indie games.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, and it's a bit selfish, but it was new things for me. I wanted to try out making new things, and I've gone from doing a process where it literally checks where the game objects are and does a difference in distance to decide if you die or if you shoot somebody, to ray casting, and figuring out the problems with that. And so I make like a multi-pronged, headed ray cast object, just because you find out how unreliable things are.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Definitely.
yeah, it's like, for me, this first one is, I would like people to play it. I would love it. I mean, if I could get a guaranteed 1,000 people are going to play it, if I free to play it, I would totally do that. Seeing as I don't even know if that would happen, I'm going to charge money for it just so I can go through the whole process, and I'll probably, as much as I can, put it on, like, I'm thinking I'll probably put it on for $3 and do a 66% off as much as I can. So it's like $1 on the store. I'm going to try out some type of promotional materials. I don't know if I'm going to throw a couple $100 at it, or $500, just to, just because I can. And that would be an aspect of the game making process that I need to learn.
Right.
And, hopefully some more people would play it from that. But then, I don't know, I might free to play it in the future. Or something like that. I would like to get out as many keys as I can to give away free copies. Like, honestly, if the thing stopping someone from playing the game is that it's going to cost them $1, I'd rather give it to them for free so they would play it. Is the truth. Or if someone, I mean, there, it sounds dumb, but there are people that, they have to really think about whether they spend any money at all, and or they just can't bring themselves to break out their credit card, because they're breaking out their credit card for everything in this world.
Right.
And so I would rather they play my game. And honestly, that will probably be my attitude moving forward. Even if I make, a better game that I feel like people really, that I deserve to be paid for, or something like that, I think I will try to keep that. The only problem is Steam is really stingy about giving out keys, and if you get too many of them, they apparently really want you to just make your game free to play. But for me, I
Really.
want to get it out to as many people making content on YouTube as I can. And I would like to get it out to, all of the people that have been commenting and, subscribed to my channel and have been giving me encouragement. And then I would like to be able to give them out to people whenever I feel like it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how that pans out.
How have you yeah, I mean that's pretty intense. I'm thinking like have you where'd you read that Steam like wants you to do free, like we'll just switch you to free to play after a certain amount of time?
They said they wouldn't switch you, but they say it right where you can request the keys. They let you know that you have to first request them and put why, and then they tell you a small number is acceptable, but if you do a large number of them, they would prefer you just make your game free to play. So I think what they're really afraid of is that you're going to go and sell your keys on a different website, and then they're not going to get their 1/3% or something like that. So their
Oh, so they do
30% or
the
whatever they
they do the
take.
100 up front and then the 1/3 as well. Like the commission as well.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're going to take a big piece of your game. So, I mean, you can watch, like, say like a Blackthorn prod. How much should I make? He has two of them now, and he is a beautiful channel. A great guy too. He's very likable, and his games have fallen below his own expectations. And he's been, to his credit, he's a stud. He's been real honest about how much he makes on them. Um, but yeah, take a big chunk. So that's why I can see a lot of people like to go to Ish. They can decide how much they take out. You can take out nothing, or you could toss them 20% if you want. So
Right. And I think the thing about Steam is that just their user bases, instead of playing instead of having a bunch of indie developers playing your game, you're getting the chance of having like just people who just are on the Steam store playing your game. And I think
Right, you have that chance to go big. Like most of us won't, most of our games won't. And and most of us, if we're into the community, will know somebody who's gone, done quite well with it. But you have that chance, and I think that's really important. It's a big motivating factor that there's at least a chance. Algorithms are going to pick up your game, and you're going to do really well, like some people have. So.
have you ever thought about like contacting publishers with your game once it's more refined?
Yeah, I have. I've thought about that quite a bit. I don't think I will with this game. I don't know. It's another layer of complication. Maybe it's not as hard as I'm making it, but it feels difficult. So it's one of those things I'm avoiding. I actually have reached out and contacted people before I even restarted this project just to see what it's like. And I don't know. You get a lot of fly by night publishers, or a lot of them like, okay, we figured it out. We have all these contacts, and then you hit them up, and they're like, yeah, we're not really doing it so much anymore. So
Yeah,
you
because
know.
I'm thinking like the Epic Game Store, you need a publisher. I think you need a really like secure publisher to get on there. But I think their marketing for their games is pretty good. Compared to Steam, just what I've seen. Because I like when you open Fortnite or whatever, you see all these indie games. Indie games are basically the forefront of that Epic Games Store. So I was just
Right.
thinking, if I feel like your game is better quality than some of these games, that you could probably get a publisher. I just don't know where to start either. I was wondering, maybe you maybe looked into it, but
Maybe I will look into it, but a lot of them, they're not accepting any sort of like an application, except you really just need to send them your game in a
exactly.
decently completed state. And some of them will are literally just a, hey, we'll get you onto, we'll work the Google algorithms for you, is pretty much what they're offering. And so it'll be like your name as a developer, your name as the publisher, and then there'll be a comma and them, and that little extension there, you click on that to Steam to see who else they've published, and they've hit up a lot of games. So it's interesting. I think if I found the right deal, or if I maybe was a little more comfortable with it, I would just go for it. But I mean, for me, I would want to hold on to all the rights of my games for sure. And I'm really wary just because there's a lot of leeches out there that aren't really going to do anything for you, but they will take some money if your game
Right,
makes money.
right. It's like in the
So
movie industry, if you find like an agent or whatever, like you've never heard
yeah,
about like where you pay an agent some money and then they don't do anything for you, and then all of a sudden you get some kind of booking out of your own accord, and you have to give them your 30%, and they're like, oh, well, you signed this deal. I feel like that's the hardest part of signing any. A publishing agreement is kind of like an agency agreement in a way as well. You're signing away some of your money and hoping that they're going to do the work that they say they're going to do. And so
right.
I feel like finding a reputable one would probably be the most important part.
Yeah, maybe I'll check it out. If I do, I'll let you know. I could probably start shopping it about any time. It's in a very playable state, so.
Right. It looks playable. Looks cool. Um, have you have you found that your YouTube channel has kind of grown since you've been kind of making this game better and better?
It really has not grown. It's like in that infancy stage. Some people put out one video and are literally 100 times bigger than
Well,
my
yeah.
channel. It's stuck in infancy. I'm not doing it any favors by stretching out my videos to like 3 weeks, 4 weeks sometimes. It's which is difficult, but this is part of the learning experience for me too, was YouTube. But this was the last thing that I wanted to do, was get into YouTube. I'm having fun with it now that I'm here, but it's difficult. Like I'm learning video editing and sound quality settings on your microphone, and why am I picking up a weird buzzing noise, all of that, how to reduce it without making myself sound like a robot. Do I want to make a video and then add audio to it? Do I want to live record things, or do I want to make the audio and then do video to it? I've literally done all three of those different
Yeah, me
things
too.
and
And
seen,
it's trial and
yeah, I've seen
error.
benefits each way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No,
pros and
definitely.
cons.
Definitely. I think what I found, I feel like the most enjoyable but the most stressful is like these live long form, making a game in 2 hours or making a game mechanic in a couple hours. I feel like maybe they're not my most viewed videos, but they're definitely like the most fun videos I do. So
Yeah.
have you ever thought about like kind of doing live streams with your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I've thought of it, and I think I will, probably when I finish my game and I'm in some type of an intern type of position, I'll probably make more creative videos, and like I can see at some point I'm going to want to do like a what's my backstory type of video. And I'm thinking the video that I'm working on now is, I'm thinking, and I'm not even sure on it, is like a New Year's one. What do I want to get done for a New Year's video? And maybe a small look back on the like 4 months of game development that I've been doing on this, that sort of thing. It's difficult. All the time that I have, I'm trying to put into the game. Every time I hit a rough patch, I tend to work on it less. When I'm just rolling and getting stuff done, you might not be able to get me to stop to eat. So
Right. No, yeah, I've been there, like just sitting on the computer for 10 hours and then you're like, oh, well, I didn't eat today.
Exactly. And I'm the type of person, like with this project, when I have motivation, I just strike while the iron's hot. When I don't, I'm not pushing it too hard, is the truth. I'll probably have a better schedule for the next one, but I'm just really free flowing making this game, and it's probably about the best way to fail, but but I think it will be fine this time, and then I'm probably going to really have to tighten things up. I'd also like to just log how much time I actually do work on a game, so that I can at some point see, besides the fact that I enjoy doing it, how worthwhile is it. So
Definitely. I think I think you're going to be surprised with the reactions to the game. I feel like they're going to be bigger. I mean, than you're anticipating. I don't know if they're going to be a thousand plays, because I think even with people with 100,000 viewers have a hard time converting even 1,000 players.
I
But
do. It's tough.
exactly, it's really tough to get people to play your game. Even I feel like I know 1,000 people, and even then, less than 10% of them would do anything for me.
I get that. I actually get that.
It's
That
hard.
makes
It's
sense.
hard to rely on other people, but I think the real fruits of the labor come in creating something and having something playable by the end of it. I think, and having at
Yeah.
least one person tell you that it's a something good, that will just add cream to the cake, or whatever the saying is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all gravy. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important just to keep pushing. I find myself like, even I feel like, let's say I make a mechanic of a game and then something happens and I have to remake it in 2020 Unity. Those are the times when I'm just like, whatever, screw this, I'll come back to it another time. Then I find myself not doing anything for a long time. So I think, but I like to guilt myself too. You're saying you just let it go. You're just like, yeah,
I've
I'm
been
just not
fine.
gonna look
Yeah.
today. I'm like, damn, you're watching YouTube. You could be doing something right now. And so I think that's a little detrimental, but it's also kind of a motivation. You never find yourself guilting yourself into working on it
um,
extra.
like I've known people that if they there's people, if they eat too much, they feel guilt. Right now, I've been gaining weight, so I'm overweight, but I've never felt guilt about eating. I've never felt guilt about not working out. And I definitely don't feel guilt about not working on my game. I don't know. I think it's just I feel guilt over different things. Like if I was rude to, say, one of my children, which we're around each other a lot and we're doing home school, so because of COVID, if I find myself feeling guilt about those sorts of things, and when I do feel guilt, I think of more how to not feel that guilt again. So I try not to do things that I'm just going to regret. Um, but I don't regret taking time away from a game if it's stressing me. I just try to get back to it, and I will work on it when I don't feel like it sometimes. But uh, maybe not as much as I should.
No, I think that's a
I've
good
really
lesson,
been
dude.
working out. But when I feel like it, I will put 7 straight hours into it, and maybe that will lead to me burning out within a couple days. But if I look back at what I've gotten done, it can be well worth it. So
No, definitely. I think that if you're able to do that, if you're able to kind of have that division, I guess is what you would call it, like being able to know when you're ready to work, when you're not ready to work, and what to work on. That's a really useful skill. And if anyone out here has that, you guys can go far in this, because I feel like a lot of I guess people like me's time is it can be wasted thinking like, oh, if I do this, what if, but I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. So a lot of it's like, I feel like a lot of energy spent on just motivating yourself to go do that first step, because once the ball's rolling, I feel like it's easy for anyone to start to keep going. It's hard to get some people, it's hard to get that ball rolling. And I think,
well, yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think for people with any habit, if you will make yourself some type of a condition where you do it, like maybe Every time I eat, I'm just going to go, if you have the time, I'm going to just log in for 5 minutes and look at my game and see if there's any small thing I could do. It's if you could even get started. It's like if you can get yourself onto a treadmill, you can probably walk for an hour or run for an hour. But if you're not willing to, put your shoes on and get moving, then you just never start. And I think I have a lot of just never start issues. So I will try to get myself just to log in just for a few minutes, see if am willing to work on it or not. And often I am, often I'm not. So, we just play the odds. Like I said, I'm striking while the iron's hot. I'm making, hay when it's sunny,
No, definitely. I actually saw a YouTube video about this. This kind of got something going in my head. There was a I don't know what it was. It's probably some no name guy, but he had this YouTube video that was like, people don't want to do anything if there's like a 2 minute rule. So if you just make yourself do something for 2 minutes, and then every day you do that, because 2 minutes is nothing. Anyone can do anything for 2 minutes. So just get yourself to do something for 2 minutes. You're more likely to just start kind of having a habit that you're going to want to do it more and more and more and more and more. So I think that's
right.
with game dev. 2 minutes isn't much. 2 minutes, you're not going to be able to even open Unity, I feel like. But give yourself a little bit of time to like play through the game or just like look over what you did last time, and that's where you're going to find like that rush of
I agree.
that rush of motivation for that session, I feel like.
And motivation can be a bit contagious too. So, like, if you just don't feel like doing it, maybe if you just got up and took out the trash, if it's at your house or your parents or whatever, or did the dishes, sometimes one thing will just lead to another. Also, definitely, it's just a tough one for me, but if you just get enough sleep, you're going to be almost better in every aspect in your life throughout the day. And I hate that because I would rather stay up all night and then figure it out later. But I'll tell you what, that's one of the best things for your mental mind state. And game dev is no exception. And I think motivation is, to me, seems like the most difficult part of game dev. Motivating to learn, motivation to, come up with an idea or to stick with it. It seems like it's the number one thing. And, a lot of people are focused on the technical aspect because when they feel motivation, they go out there and they want to learn and they want to build something and they start getting it in their mind. But I'll tell you, that's, the hardest part is getting that motivation and keeping it. So
Right. And then you might have the motivation to learn something, and then all of a sudden like with networking, it's so much more complicated than just normal Unity. So like you're adding after you feel like you know a lot of Unity, you can make a game, then you learn a new task, and it's not just networking, it's anything that anything that you want to learn, like you want to learn better game design, better art. There's
right.
gonna be that same learning barrier that you had when you first started Unity. You're gonna have to overcome that. So like I think just the amount of learning that's involved in game development actually gets you used to like overcoming those gaps and kind of becoming a jack of all trades. I guess on your way to becoming a jack of all trades. I feel like I'm more of
Right.
a little bit. I know a little bit about everything, which not bad.
There's some things like that. I like music. I don't have a musical bone in my body, and so it's very difficult. And so people that do understand music on any sort of level, it's almost like they're doing, black magic to me or something like that. It's just, I have no idea what's going on. I just know if I like it or if I don't. And usually, when someone puts something together, yeah, you kind of like it. That could work in a game. And I just don't have it. So I might hire that stuff out more. I've thought about, I never would have thought of buying art back in the day. I would have felt like it wouldn't be legitimate me. I can't even say the word. It wouldn't be legitimate. Okay. It wouldn't be mine. I'm not going to go a third time on there. I'm going to go into a full on stutter.
You got it, dude. You got it. You got a third time's the charm. You got it.
So, yeah, I wouldn't, now I would totally do that to try to get my game design out quicker if I found something that that I liked and worked with what I wanted to do. Um, you know, but before, yeah, I thought I was almost like a purist. I'm like, I'm going to have to learn absolutely every single thing. It's like, well, maybe I could learn a little bit about it and then, outsource.
Right. And I feel like so with music, definitely there's a huge learning barrier. Not only is that like, yeah, you can play by ear, but to have consistency, you're gonna have to learn the notes. That's like a whole nother web. That's a whole nother
Yikes.
branch than game development and game design, which I mean, I feel like just practicing if you want to do music for your games, literally just sitting in front of a piano and just like hitting the notes eventually like that's how I learned to play piano. I can learn pretty good. That's how I
Right.
kind of broke that first entry, but it took years of literally just like bang, 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 and just like being like a
Ah,
baby. And then eventually one day it just clicked. And so I think that's with anything, but like artistic things specifically like music and 3D modeling, it's going to take a lot of time of just like doing nothing to get anywhere. So
right.
those are the places I feel like if you're struggling with, just hire them out for a game. Get it done because that
Yeah.
should not be the thing holding you back to making your
Right.
game. There's so many people that are so good at that, and there's so many assets on the asset store. The only thing about assets on the asset store that I have an issue with, and I guess it's just another one of those learning barriers, is to know like so let's get an asset. I want to change something on it. You have to figure out what you want to change on it in order to make it your own as well. I mean, maybe you don't want to change
Right.
anything, but like downloading a Mixamo character and putting it in your as the main character in your game, I don't feel like that's a good
Yeah.
move.
No, I mean, one time I got some type of I think it was just an object file or something like that, and I tried opening it in Blender, and everything was just wonk. It was completely unusable. Like everything was stretched out to the nth degree, and it wasn't a model anymore. It's just a mess of mesh and rig that didn't work. And I was like, oh, they probably made this in like 3D Max or something. Here I am trying to open it in Blender, and everything's just all goof. And I don't know. That's one thing I thought is, how much could I even modify these? Does the license allow me to modify them and add my own spin to them? Because I've seen that with like low poly packs, and they do low poly probably differently than I would. But I mean, they're doing it 10 times better than I ever could. So I don't want to brag or anything, but I would probably want things differently. And then I'm like, okay, what if I wanted this character? Do they have that specific thing that I want, or am I going to have to try to emulate their style? I have no
Right.
idea. It makes it very difficult to use. But if you can work it in, I would. It's such a time saver if you have the money. And I know that, that's a lot of people are young and don't have the money to do this. They have the time and maybe the motivation, but not the money. That for me, I literally have 4 screens in front of me right now, and one of them's 40 inches wide. That's not that part isn't holding me back. It's definitely that I'm older and that I have a lot of responsibilities, and you just don't learn as quickly when you're old. You really don't. So
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it sucks too because I feel like when I was a kid, like when I was like in high school and stuff, I could just like figure things out like it's nothing. And now I definitely feel like the my brain is getting gunked up, dude, and
yeah,
you forget things more. It's harder to
right, it
cement
gets
things.
worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a downward spiral for the rest of your life. Anyone watching, don't get old.
That's
No.
right. That's true. The best advice ever.
Never get old. No, but yeah, I think the hardest part for me, and I haven't tried this yet. I'm sure if I make like a large scale game, I'm gonna have to like manipulating other people's art or literally just commissioning one artist to make the entire game art for me. Like, which
Right.
that's a couple $1,000 project on its own, I'm sure, because these good game artists aren't cheap, and
Yeah.
then they shouldn't have to be cheap, but it's just
Yeah, I
hard
agree. I'm
to.
definitely for them getting as much money as they individually can. And if you're a developer, I'm absolutely for you getting assets as, cheaply and honestly as you can. Obviously, I don't want you to start up a sweatshop in China or something, but
Hey, but that's not a bad idea either. There probably already is a sweatshop in China doing these, so maybe look
you
overseas if
can,
you're looking for
yeah.
cheap good art. Honestly, potentially, because it's not even a sweatshop. It's like the cost of living in certain countries is much lower. I'm not
Like
saying
in India or
right.
something like that. And I'll be honest, if you go on the internet and look up technical stuff, they are all over the place. There are brilliant minds all over the world, but India seems to have a billion of them or something,
Right.
and they're very good and they don't charge as much. Some of them are $2 an hour, which is a good living wage there, I guess. I mean, I maybe I shouldn't speak out of school, but it seems like that works. So,
Right, and I mean not even the two. Like, let's say you have two artists, one in America that costs what, like he has to pay $5,000 a month just to live, and then one in India that literally has the same quality of life or similar quality of life has to pay a fraction of that. If they
right,
have the same asset, one's going to be charging much less and still have the same kind of means. So I'm not saying underpay. Just pay the fair market value of wherever you're at, and
right.
if you're looking for better art that for a lower price, maybe I haven't done this, but maybe look overseas. Look overseas and That's probably what I'll end up doing eventually, honestly. Like
Yeah,
Fiverr, a
no, I can
3D
see it.
artist or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's what I've looked at it too, because at one point I told myself there was no way I was going to learn Blender. I'm like, this is just too much, you know.
Right,
I think they just
you were in that
updated it, and
gap, that
yeah.
learning gap. It's hard to overcome
Well, and
that
they
too.
put out a new version and they switched the keys. I'm like, damn it, I just learned some of the keys. You changed them on me. This is just too much.
Oh, the
So,
2.8 to 2.9 switch.
yeah, something. I think it was before that,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, when I was learning it, but it really messed with me because I was finally getting some reliable like things I knew where were, and then they moved it, and I was like, you bastards, you know?
No, definitely. They changed the whole UI. When you look at even looking at tutorials for Blender, there's no like more than half of the tutorials are obsolete now. Like, yeah, you can learn
They
like kind
are.
of the shapes, but like everything looks completely different. There, you need to look up more modern tutorials, which I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they did it for good reason, but it seems counterproductive for the user.
Yeah, sometimes it gets difficult. I mean, if you've actually learned the previous version and you spend a few hours, you'll be just fine. But I mean, sometimes you don't have that few hours. It's frustrating, but it's tough for me to complain about a free tool that people are putting out
No,
there.
definitely,
So,
definitely, it's
which
amazing.
is, yeah, almost everything I'm using is free. So
I think
there you
that's the
go.
good thing about game development as well. Is like I feel like there's not much that isn't free, and everything that you pay for is just extra. Like you don't really need anything. You don't need to pay for anything if you don't want to. I
Yeah, I
think
think
that's
people starting out shouldn't, because I've definitely spent a couple $100 on the and I've gotten sale and stuff like that right on Unity's asset store, and I probably like $30 of it was probably a good idea. You know, I think I got easy save and that thing's great because you can encrypt your files and such.
oh yeah,
Um,
easy save. Awesome Tuts was telling. Was that Awesome Tuts or was that? No, that was John from Lost Relic Games talking about that. That seems like such a good. I forgot all about that. I need to get that as well. That seems like such a one of the most useful things in the entire asset store.
yeah, it is, and it's quite easy, and it's actually not difficult to save to a binary file, which would be difficult to edit. But when I found out they also do encryption, I think I watched one of Bracky's videos that he was sponsored by them, and at the very end, he just dropped that you could encrypt it so nobody could mess with your game file. So it's like, oh, maybe that's what I want. So, 128-bit encryption, good luck.
Oh, so that was I watched the binary save video from Bracky. So at the end of that, he had the ad for them to encrypt, like an
Yeah,
advertisement for them. Oh, cool! I didn't see that part.
yeah, you got to watch till the end.
The last minute of it. I was giving him his.
Exactly.
It's a 30-minute video. Didn't know, but I mean, I definitely think that encrypting your games is a good tool to learn, but I don't know how important it really is with kind of like games that aren't. I don't know.
Probably not at all. Probably not at
Yeah.
all, to be honest. At some point, I felt like it was important because I knew I was going to put leaderboards in there, and if you could start on a wrong level, you could mess things up. But nobody's going to do that realistically. I mean, maybe if your game is a hit, um,
Right. Like
nobody's going
once
to
it
even
gets
try
big,
though.
people are gonna start
Yeah.
destroying it, and then people are gonna get mad. Be like, how does this guy have 9,999,000 levels? There's not even much time in the
Yeah.
world for that. But
No,
even
there's
at that
not.
point, you could just like, can't you just manually change them as well? Like, kind of
You can.
erase them and
You, c- yeah, you can delete entries and you can reset them and those sorts of things.
face
So.
the scorn of your community, deleting a legitimate 9 million block run or whatever.
There's a game, Orcs Must Die, and they made a sequel, Orcs Must Die 2, and they have leaderboards on them. And it seems like some fishy stuff is going on because I like played one level for hours and got, into the, I don't know, hundreds of thousands or whatever. And then you look at it and somebody's just got billions of points and they're the top leader on each of them. They're like, either they found some crazy exploit in the game or they're just hacking.
Maybe it's some kind of bot. It's still running right
Yeah.
now or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something, but it's like for me, like I got through like 100 rounds of the game and had not even a tenth of their score. They got through like 30 rounds, which isn't that hard, and had like billions of points. If you're curious, buy Orcs Must Die 2 and then look at the leaderboards.
Yeah, I think
But
I
it's
have. I think I have. I played that a little bit as well. I don't remember. Maybe it was Is there an Orcs Must Die 3?
there is one, but that is on one of those like streaming only services where it's all computed over the internet. Then they just send you the video and you send them the button pushes back, kind of like
Yeah,
a
I think that's
Steam
what I
remote
played on the
thing.
Google Stadia or whatever.
Okay, yeah, they have that. They have Orcs Must Die 3 on that, and I love the game, so I wish it was elsewhere to be bought, but I can't bring myself to sign up for that. I don't know. Just don't feel like it, you
Have you ever thought
know.
about pushing your game to them?
I haven't. I thought I would probably publish on itch and then I'd probably publish on Steam, but I honestly might just publish on Steam. So I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, because again, this is back to. I mean, you might even be able to self-publish this, but there's probably like a reasonable contact at Google or at any Nvidia or whatever, whoever does those streaming services that could probably that you could probably reach and get a response back pretty quick. I feel like that's an undertapped market. I wouldn't say untapped, but there's definitely a lot of room on
Yeah.
there to put games on there, especially indie games.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, that's you see some of these people are barking up every single tree and it often pays off. So,
Yeah, and I mean, what
um
could it hurt taking a, especially if you, I don't know, just taking like a marketing week or something at the end of it, and just like think of every single thing you can do and just pop it all out.
right,
Basically, spend the
right.
amount of time that you spend on your game just on literally marketing, and maybe double the amount of time, and
Yeah,
then
part of the difficult thing is like, especially with how many tools are built right into Steam. It's like I'm going to have to learn everybody else's API, or if they don't have a good one,
oh
I'm going to
yeah,
go ahead and have to develop my own. You know, so
oof,
there is definitely quite a bit of that sort of thing, and almost everything is running inside the game. You really can with Steam have it keep track of a lot of different things for you, but I don't really care to do that. You know, I just want it to handle what it minimally has to, and then I'll program everything else in. But yeah, I don't know. I could see having to learn all of those different things being a bit of an ask for someone like me right now. And I'm sure
right.
there's a lot of people in the same boat.
I think the only way that it would even be feasible is literally to have kind of like an exclusive kind of like deal with them, right? Like Google, like if let's say Google wanted to put you on Stadia, like the net, like it's not really the Netflix
Right.
because it's not huge, but like there's potential
I
there
get it.
to have an audience. I think that at that point, maybe having one or two, like asking around to a bunch of them and picking one might be a good move as well. So like
Yeah,
not
no, I
picking
agree
all
with
of them,
that.
because yeah,
See, and for me, I could also see if you had a game and it was successful, then maybe shopping it to publishers. You know what I mean? That
definitely.
could work too. So, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to go around it. The one thing is, like, this one game, as much as I like it and like working on this project, it's definitely not, I'm not going to try to squeeze all the juice out of this lemon. I'm really just going to make it and try to probably move on.
That's a good move.
And
Yeah.
so, there I could see games if I made one that I spent more time on, or maybe even if I just thought it was going to do better with broader audiences, maybe I would shake down every tree for it. You know what I mean? But for right now, I'm still just learning, and I have to get into this soon and quickly. I'm not getting any younger, so
No,
I'm
definitely, I
trying to
agree.
use this as experience and to kind of try every single thing that I need to do to get a game done.
Would you want to work for like a big game company, or you just want to be a solo indie dev?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it paid really well or something like that, I would probably do it. I'm real happy with the job I have now, and so I would probably, no matter what happens, I think I'm gonna stick with what I'm doing and just try to make indie games. I don't think I have any realistic expectations or interest in going after, some AAA game title, company. But the truth is, they probably wouldn't have a lot of interest in me.
Definitely. I think
So
it's hard to
that's
find that in the, kind of compete with these people who have been in that industry for so long. I feel like it's like kind of a closed off industry at that point. I think it's better
yeah.
just to kind of stick with what you're doing and then make these indie games and have fun doing it. I think having fun doing it is pretty important because
Yeah.
the reward threshold is kind of like huge.
Yeah, in a different life, I definitely, could have been a game dev or something like that professionally, went to school for it or something like that.
Yeah.
The truth is, I have a high school education. I have no college behind me. I somehow lucked into having a really good life. And, so this is an extra thing for me. And I really enjoy doing it. And I do hope and have dreams someday that I will have something that will hit it semi big, and I will just have just the idea of making money on the side with this is such an alluring fantasy for me. But if not, I'm having fun. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not wasting your time. You're learning things. You're learning skills that are transferable, I guess, is
true.
what you would call them. So yeah, you're learning beyond SQL now. You can make an app, a net app. You can make a web app if you really wanted to. You could do anything. So
That's true, and the truth of the matter is, it actually has helped me in my day to day job, just because I learned to structure things differently. And so I even with my SQL, I took some of the things I learned from C sharp and applied them in there. And they're not like I didn't take any direct code from one place and put it to another, but just kind of a methodology of building different reports or sorting through data. And it's worked out really well for me. So it's been all good. Like I said, I've had nothing negative, and I know people do hit really hard negative things. I watched Thin Matrix, where his first game failed. I watched every single one of his videos, and I started 5 years late, so it took a long time. I watch him at time 2 speed. That helps.
yeah,
But yeah, he went through a major failure where people were crapping all over his game. He abandoned the project, picked up something else, and made an awesome game that did really well. I don't know how much money. I wish he would have done a how much did I make, because I think he's sitting pretty. So
yeah. And I think a lot of people don't do the how much did I make because they don't want to come off as braggy. But I feel like it's in an industry like this where no one knows what to expect. It's not really very commonplace to have, and there's such a drastic like amount. No one's gonna be mad at seeing I mean, maybe a few people, but most people won't be mad at seeing a success story. It'll be more of like a motivation.
yeah.
So and then not to be and no one should be embarrassed by a fail story because that's the status quo. That's everyone is. Most people are gonna have kind of a trashy
Yeah.
start.
The first person I saw do it was that Tim from the Game Dev Underground. Great guy. And then I saw Blackthorn do a couple of them, and he actually mentioned Tim at some point. And I really haven't. I know that who's that Thomas Brush guy or something. That's really. I don't watch a lot of his stuff. He has great hair, but he seems like he's balling, right? And he's done some of that recently. I just caught some of those, so he has a lot of really good content.
Yeah,
There's
he's
just
got high quality
there's so much
content.
out there.
He's got some high quality content, but and then on top of it, he kind of has a course teaching people how to monetize their game dev skills. And I think most of his money, if I'm not mistaken, it's like most of his money does come from games, but at the same time, he has so many different game adjacent related, like teaching courses. Basically, teaching a course on how to make money making
Yeah.
games is a large portion of his money as well, and like YouTube. So like,
Right.
I think the important thing for anyone making games is to kind of if they want to make any kind of money doing it and to maximize the chances would be to make a YouTube channel to really kind of solidify some certain concepts and then to make a course on how to make a certain type of game, potentially even the type of game that you're trying to make in the end, right? So you can kill two birds with one stone. Like you can kind of
Right.
make your game and then make a tutorial kind of parallel to it doing the similar things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I don't want to say that this is what it's like, but I remember like as a child watching the infomercials of like how to make unlimited money, and our course only costs this much money, and I kept having the thought, if you make so much like endless money, why are you even trying to sell a product to people? You're already making endless
That's
money.
their endless money.
you know but and I was a kid, so I didn't fully get the concept that people are just lying to people. I'm not saying he's like that. I think he's legitimately successful, and now he can make money teaching other people kind of the steps he did. I don't think he can actually teach people how to be successful. Is
No,
the truth.
definitely. I don't
He
think
can-
that's. I think
yeah.
kind of lead a horse to water kind of concept.
Yeah, well, even a complete reset. If he had to restart from beginning, would he be as big as he is now? Most
Right,
people that
right.
make it huge wouldn't. Now, would he probably have a leg up on everybody? Yeah, but I mean, if you look at him, good, solid skills. It seems like good work ethic. He's a very likable guy when you see him on screen and talk to him. He's kind of got a lot made. Not very many people are going to be able to do what he did. So
No, and I saw a video. Also, we're talking a lot about videos, but like there was just yesterday. How much of success is based on luck versus actual skill? And it's actually
Yeah.
like you need to be really good at what you do and get really lucky to kind of guarantee that you're gonna be good. Like there's no guarantees.
I believe
if
that.
you're the best at anything, because there's still gonna be people that are as good as you, and they might have the luck on their side, and all of a sudden you're just falling in the back burner. Not to say
Yeah,
that
no.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I think, a lot of people make a lot of their own luck is kind of what I say by trying hard or by, working on being likable, all those sorts of things, but there is just a luck aspect that, nothing that you earned or anything like that, you just got lucky. And I feel like that with when I learned SQL, I was doing data entry and I kind of lucked myself into a job where I could just work on SQL for 8 hours a day. No one knew what I was doing. And if without that, I'd still be doing data entry. And so, I don't, I wouldn't never look down on someone who does data entry for a living, making a lot less money, because that was almost certainly my prospect. And then it just wasn't, because I lucked into something else. And then, sure, I made some of my own luck by taking the initiative to do things I never was asked to do. But, a lot of people, I could be the exact same person, never get that opportunity. And
Right.
and my life would be drastically different.
I think the important lesson is like consistently working hard. Like work hard as hard as you can. The more times you work hard, the more chances you have for good luck to come. I think that's like kind of
Right.
the making your own luck kind of concept put into a formula, right? Like do
Yeah,
your
I like
best
it.
every day, right? I mean, it sounds cheesy, but like literally, the more you do your best, the more chances you have. You're having to like yeah, either get discovered or I
Yeah.
don't know what it would be, but like yeah, have the luck find you.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, I think even though I think both of us accept that luck is a huge part of it, and for people that make it mega successful, the difference between them and someone that didn't, they may have worked just as hard and been just as good and just didn't make it because of luck. But if you act in a way as if luck isn't a part of it, you'll do better motivationally, and you'll probably have
Right.
a better outcome. So
Right, and I mean, on the same, yeah, you have to act like luck isn't a thing, but you have to know that it is. So like, because the motivation will also
exactly.
come. I'm working hard every single day, but nothing's happening. I'm working hard every day, and nothing's happening. I mean, I feel like that kind of, on the other hand, like when you don't acknowledge luck at all, you're kind of eating away at yourself, and you're like, oh, I'll never.
Right.
Doesn't matter how hard I work. I'm tired. I'm done. I think there's got to be like that balance of like just work hard. I mean, you got to work hard. What else are you going to do? You got to
Yeah.
work hard
Yeah.
until something happens or quit.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just
Well,
quit.
I mean, I extend that, like in my life all throughout, though. I'm a person that doesn't believe, like, I think we're in a mechanical universe type of deal. Our brains I think we have less free will than people think. But if you live your life like you're not responsible for your own actions, then that doesn't lead you to a good life.
No,
Even though I
definitely.
don't literally believe in free will, if you act like everything, if you own everything really hard that happens to you in all of your actions all of the time, then I think you'll have a better outcome in life.
Definitely like
So,
taking responsibility and stuff like that is very, very,
yeah,
very, very necessary. Oh man.
exactly.
So your game is coming out May, right? May.
Yes, I always have to count months for some reason. It's the fifth one. Yes, May.
And it's called Blockin?
Boxton.
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 Yeah.
Yep, close. You're good.
Got the first couple
With
letters.
a hyphen on Boxton.
Yeah, boxed in. It's coming May to Steam. You guys should wish list it. Is it wish listable?
It's not, but I'll let you know when it is.
All right, we'll put a link on the whatever video, whatever week it comes out. I'll pop it in the description to wish list boxed in. Check out Nish Games on YouTube. The link's in the description below. He's got some great content. I'm sure some more is coming. Some more, but he's
That's
coming
right.
coming up with a good New Year's look back at his games. So come and
That's right.
check out his channel. He's got some great videos. And thanks for coming on, Elijah, man. That's great.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Take care. Bye.